I did want to ask, I know that music is a huge part of a lot of religions. I'm not a person of faith myself, so I have not as much, I don't want to say experience, but I feel like I have less familiarity with that. But I was curious how you sort of wanted to honor the Jewish faith musically and adding that into the song.
Yeah, well, it was originally Trish, the director, Trish
Mhm.
Adlisik. She sent Idina the kind of her vision for the song. I think they had talked about it, and then I was given an email. She included the traditional Tree of Life prayer melody, and just as an idea for us to somehow weave into the song,
Mhm.
which I think we thought was super beautiful and um, just a way that to me it felt like it really paid tribute to what happened, but also grounded the song in this community and in this event.
Mhm.
So I think also we wanted, like you kind of said before, like the song is about loss and grief, but it's also about this incredible resilience. And so we wanted to strike this balance of kind of sad but also uplifting, and it was very like fine line. So in the
Mhm.
beginning of the song, Adina hums that traditional
Mhm.
melody, kind of in a more mournful way.
Yeah.
And the arrangement is super simple and just strings in her. And then in the end of the song, it comes back and it's sung with background vocals and it's more unwavering and resilient and powerful.
Mhm.
And I think we really wanted to do that because it felt like it also, mirrored the arc of the film and showing that these people, it's about loss, but it's also about their amazing resilience and these people who bravely share their stories.
Yeah. Okay. I will say what you were just saying. I really loved how there's a when that humming comes back in, there's a really triumphant quality to it. There's a really sort of resilient quality to it. Um, Hi, Idina.
Hi, I heard that. Musical theater nerd.
Oh, you heard all that? I have a very well-worn Wild Party CD somewhere. I don't know.
I love
Hang on.
that you just said
Oh,
that.
I,
First of
I,
all,
s-
why does everybody say they're a musical theater nerd? Why do we have to be nerdy? Can't we just be
I
like
think that
movie
was, I think that
stars?
was, that was more thrust upon us, I believe, and it's sort of just been,
Not fair. It's like band camp or something. It's like
yeah, of course.
nerdy. Yeah.
Um, Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I was just telling Kate I am from the Pittsburgh area. I
Oh,
Squirrel Hill is my favorite part of Pittsburgh. When I remember very distinctly where I was when I heard the news. I don't live there anymore. But just the windows of that synagogue. I know I drove by it all the time. So this was a really hard movie to
mm.
I can't think of the right word, but this movie meant a lot to me as somebody who is from that area, even though I'm not part of the Jewish faith. Um, Idina, I did want to ask, there's a really beautiful delicacy to your voice um, when you begin to sing some of the lyrics after the first initial humming section that Kate and I was just speaking about. And I was curious, just from a performance standpoint, um, what it sort of feels like to perform this song. Just because at certain points because I listened to the song a couple of times yesterday, and it was just like the first time I listened to it, I feel like I didn't even, you sounded so different.
I did from other things that
Yeah.
you've heard.
Yeah.
Ah,
I'm a big fan. I saw you with Josh Groban in Rochester and
oh, thanks.
yeah. So yeah, just I sort of want to know about the emotion that you carry while you perform the song.
Well, Kate can speak to this. I think we tried it a bunch of different ways. Um, I really like when I'm in the studio and I can play with different keys, timbre of
Mhm.
my voice, how close to be on the microphone, how far away, how much projection. It's funny, it's a misconception, I think, when people say, what key do you sing in? It's like, like what's your highest note, what's your lowest note? Is for me, with a big range, it's not about that. It's about what key evokes the proper
Mm,
emotionality. of the
Okay.
song. So we play with those things. And some of the keys were really pretty, but they didn't feel vulnerable enough, I guess, in my voice. So, or maybe we like the verse in a more vulnerable place, and then the chorus we want to feel stronger, more powerful. So we play with that a lot. She probably thinks I play with it too much and I overthink it. But how does it feel to sing that song? Well, first of all, that melody, the humming in the beginning, is
Mhm.
actually the Tree of Life prayer. It's the actual
Mm.
melody of the Hebrew prayer. So it sort of sets the tone to the whole thing. And what Kate does so beautifully is go from that prayer, which is only a very limited amount of chords, and then she sort of embellishes and evolves that whole chord progression and allows us to get into a more contemporary sound while also respecting sort of where we came from. So honestly, I feel very sad when I sing the song. And I think that Trish, our director, really asked us to stay hopeful in a lot of it.
Mhm.
We reworked some of our lyrics so that they stayed in a place of inclusivity, hope, forgiveness, more in those places than my initial feeling, which was anger and sadness and frustration. So I probably have all of those feelings within the song. But the most important thing is I try to remain vulnerable when I'm singing it and allow for whatever's coming in, so that I can just be the right, liaison for this song in order to connect with as many people as we can and try to deliver the message properly.
Yeah. Okay. I did want to ask about, this can sound like a very generic question, but I want to know. So I feel like I don't know how you start this process. I don't know how you go from, experiencing this horror and this tragedy and dealing with the emotional repercussions of it. And then like a thing that blew me away about the film is just how open everybody was. And I didn't realize that we were going to see so many people who survived what happened. And I love how the film gives such space to everybody who wanted to share their stories. I guess the question that I wanted to ask is where did you two start with this collaboration? What were some of the initial talks that you could share with me about like the viewpoint that you wanted to start with, and maybe how that sort of evolved in the writing process?
Well, I can let Kate speak to that for herself, but as far as it logistically, it was brought to me. I thought about who I would want to work with on this, collaborate with. Kate and I are working on something else together that I'm just enjoying so much, and I just really feel like she kind of gets me where I like to live vocally, emotionally, all that stuff. So, and I just think she's a brilliant musician. So I called her. I was on set somewhere, I think with Adam Sandler, in Canada. Where was I? I can't remember. But I called her and we started talking about this. And like so many things during the pandemic, we've grown accustomed to working on FaceTime or Skype. And so I just wrote down a bunch of lyrics that I just felt from a raw place. And then I sent them to her, and we called Trish as well and asked her for some feedback or like a jumping off point, what she needed for the film. And then I sent it to Kate. Well, Kate, what did you feel like when you saw that, and how do you sort of go from there when you sit down at the piano or the guitar?
Yeah, I think that mostly it was actually getting to watch the film, and it's super moving and emotional, and you kind of feel it's very heavy, and you feel that after you watch it. So I think it was sitting down at the piano trying to channel all of the emotions from the film, like the loss, the resilience, all these things, and striking a balance between that, and then reading, Idina's thoughts and her lyrics, and trying to have that in the back of my mind. And then also, as Idina said, Trish really wanted it to be more uplifting and have the song gain momentum. So when I first sat down to write it, I wanted kind of that balance of, vulnerability in the beginning, and then it grows into something bigger. So kind of writing something that can go there. And, also incorporating the traditional melody and having that come back around in a more powerful, kind of resilient way in the end, and have it be really vulnerable in the beginning. So all that was kind of like spinning around. But I think at the end of the day, it's kind of like having that in the back of my mind, and then sitting down and just being like, okay, like you're just free to do whatever, and kind of see what works, see what doesn't. And then, thinking obviously of Idina's voice and how she's going to sound singing it. And then sending sending it to her and seeing, what she thinks, and going from there.
Okay. I will say something that I loved about the song is that it has a really beautiful movement to it. Like I feel like I personally, because I maybe because I have a little bit of a theater background, that it's just like, I don't know, I feel like I have an emotional sort of invisible pull to how music like moves. And I feel like there's something about this song that I sort of can't even describe the motion to it, but I just want to say that I like the movement of the music. I feel like it is very comforting, but it is also very intelligently done, that it does remind us of being cautious of forces out there who aren't kind to people that are not like them, if that sort of makes sense. I don't know.
It has a haunting quality to it, which I think a lot of Kate's stuff does. She seems really sweet and kind, but there's got to be something in her, because I know her other work, and she's really able to touch, to sort of go deep into that place. I was going to say before that also what struck me about the film was just the trauma that these people are going to experience for the rest of their lives, and also, like I said, the heroicism, like the fact that a couple of them ran back in, or the hiding in the back of the synagogue, or just that's really what was sticking with me, is also just how it affects their lives going forward, how the capacity and the courage of people to just somehow move on from that. I think that really fed into what I was writing about, we were writing about.
Yeah, I remember when I first heard about the news, and when I pinpointed in my brain of knowing exactly where this was, and like my dad and I used to go to Squirrel Hill every Saturday. We would go to there used to be 2 movie theaters in Squirrel Hill. One of them closed, and there was one at the top of the hill and one at the bottom of the hill, and we would run back and forth. And I loved seeing the families in this neighborhood, in this community, just walking together. My dad always said that Squirrel Hill was his favorite part of the city, because you could, just walk down any street in that section of Pittsburgh, and you could see families just walking and enjoying their time together. And it reminded me of just thinking of the violence that happened that day. And it's just like, when I kept seeing the people who were killed, it was just sort of like these were people who, I mean, there were older people, a lot of them were older people, and I just can't imagine, I don't know, I'm not really articulating very well, but it's something about like the people who passed at that in that building. That was it's
Yeah, well,
yeah, I'm sorry.
no, I appreciate that so much, because I think Trish, our director, has spoken to just the fact that they were in their place of worship. They were,
Mhm.
while they were praying, this hateful thing happened to them. I mean, how do you come back from that? That's what I'm saying, the trauma from that, and them re-entering that house of worship and being able to, you know, still go there and be able to, the resilience, as Kate said.
Yeah, the way that the fact that people feel emboldened to enter sacred spaces, whether it be like a synagogue or like a gay bar. Obviously those are not the same thing, but people feel safe in those types of spaces, and the violence being brought to those places is very, very terrifying. I wanted to ask lyrically about some things, or one line in specific, because we're talking about space and the building itself. There was a line that really stuck out to me every time that I listened to it, that says, "The sacred house now echoes." That just really hits me very hard. It just makes me think of this safe space that we were just talking about, but it just makes me think of where I would feel safe and it being empty and why it feels empty. I was curious how the two of you wanted to honor like the physical space, like lyrically, if that makes sense.
You want to talk about that, Kate?
Sure. Yeah, I think that especially in the beginning of the song, we wanted to really, honor the setting and kind of take imagery and like the atmosphere from the film.
Mm-hmm.
And then kind of as you were saying before, in the second verse, we talk about, walking back through the doors and how they, so powerfully return and are still worshiping there, and how
Mm-hmm.
powerful that space is. And I think just trying to ground it in the film that everyone had just watched, and then taking it from there into the chorus and more of the message, but really grounding it in the place was important.
And understanding the universality of it. Like, I think that's what songwriting, good songwriting, is all about, is when you can have the specificity of an experience, but you can write it so that it can be felt and appeal to everyone. So the non-generic lyric, that it can be anyone, like you said, that it can be anyone's house, anyone's sanctuary, anyone's place where they feel safe, and how that was taken from them.
Well, thank you both so much for your time.
On that note,
Yeah, I know. I was just like, oh gosh. I think that it's just a really beautiful song, and I think it's very important. It's I was telling Kate at the beginning, it is a very inspirational song, but it is very intellectually written there, where it's there's an element to it that really strikes like here and in here, that it's that I personally really responded to. I'm not articulating anything very well right now, but it's I just want to say that I love the song, and I think the movie is very important. So thank you so much for your time and your generosity. Thank you.
thank you so much. This means a lot to us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, stay safe. Have a good rest of your day, and happy holidays. It's coming
See you
up.
at the next show.
Yeah.
Make
Okay.
sure I invite you. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye.